Today we got a story of when the subscriber and her friend went to the beach. The subscriber's friend found something interesting in her nose. Yeah, this is probably one of the wildest ones I've received in a while. So sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call her Maddie. And this story all happened one day when Maddie and her friend Clara, they decided that they wanted to go to the beach. So they told their parents, and then one weekend, right, their parents were like, all right, you can go to the local beach. I mean, was it really a beach to the ocean? No, it was more like one of those like beaches to like pretty big lakes or whatever. They used to go like, I used to go to a lot of those for summer camps. They're a little grimy. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but anyways, right, Maddie and Clara, they got their wish granted, and sure enough, one weekend, they were allowed to go to the beach. And so they're driving over there. They're having a pretty good time. Things are feeling pretty good, right? Life's going on. Life is good. And, they get to the beach. It's pretty hot out there, so they almost immediately jump into the ocean. Or not the ocean, but I guess the lake. So anyways, right, they dive right into the lake. They're having a good time. Their parents set up, because the parents came with them, because I think, Maddie and Claire are only in like 7th or 8th grade or something. So the parents come as well. They set up shop on the beach. They, I don't know, they put down their whatever, like their chairs. They put up their towels, their umbrellas. They get all, set in or whatever. And anyways, right, Maddie and Clara, they're, on the lake or whatever, having fun, having a pretty fun time. And eventually, right, they kind of come above water and they're like talking to each other. And Maddie, the subscriber, is talking to Clara and starts to realize, something's a little off with Clara. And she can't exactly figure out why. And then she realizes that, Clara's nose is looking a little weird. Like, it's looking a little swollen. It's looking a little, like, bulky for some reason. And Maddie looks at Clara, and Maddie's like, hey, Clara, you feeling all right? And Clara kind of looks at Maddie all confused, like, yeah, of course I'm feeling all right. And, Maddie's looking at Clara, and she's like, hey, like, do you got something in your nose? And so Maddie and Clara's parents are sitting on the beach, just kind of like talking to each other, looking at their books or whatever they're doing on the beach, when they hear this kind of like screaming sound. And the thing is, right, it is really just Maddie and Clara at the beach today. It just wasn't that popular of a place in general. And then for some reason on this day, basically no one else was there. So when they heard the screaming sound, they almost knew certainly that it was coming from Maddie and Clara. And they got really scared because there's like a lot of things that could possibly go wrong at a beach. Like there's a lot of things for them to be worried about. So like, Maddie and Clara's mom, they like get out of their chairs and they start running towards the water and they're like, what's wrong? Like, are you guys okay? And Maddie and Clara start running towards, like running up. They're like, ah. At this point, right, Maddie and Clara's mom are just really concerned because they have no idea what's going on at this point. They have no idea what's going on. And, sure enough, Maddie and Clara get up there. And, Clara's the one who looks the most distraught. And you guys will understand why that is the case in just a second. And so, like, Clara is, like, not making a lot of sense. Like, she's just like, and Maddie is like, we were in the water, and then, Clara came up, and I was looking at her, and her nose was looking all weird, and I asked her if something's in her nose, and basically, Maddie turns to Clara, and Maddie and Clara's mom, and is like, there's something in Clara's nose, like, we need to get it out. And at this point, right, Maddie and Clara's mom were like, they started to have a sense of urgency. They're like, oh, like, what could this possibly be? So, they go up on shore, because at this point, Maddie and Clara are, like, standing, like, 2 feet deep in the water, and Maddie and Clara's moms are standing, like, I don't know, a foot, like, not a foot deep, but, like, their feet are submerged in the water, but nothing more. So they walk up to, like, the sand, they walk back to the towel area, and, Maddie's mom actually, like, kneels down, because, like, Maddie's mom has more experience with, like, medical first aid stuff. I don't think she's a full-on doctor, but for some reason, she has a lot more experience, so Maddie's mom's like, all right, I'll take a look at this. Anyways, right, Clara's mom actually, since she isn't doing anything, kind of pulls Maddie aside just to ask for more questions, get some more information, and, Maddie goes on to say, yeah, Clara, like, we're in the ocean, like, we're in the, not the ocean, but we're in the lake, we're just kind of, like, messing around, we're submerged underwater, looking at stuff or whatever, and then all of a sudden, when we broke the, the surface, and we came up to talk for a second, I was looking at Clara, and she just looked strange, like, there was just something wrong with her, And then I noticed this kind of like bulk in her nose, and I was wondering like if she was sick or something, and this was like congestion, or like if she was okay. And I asked her like what's in her nose, and then when she like felt her nose, she started to freak out, and I started to freak out, and then we both started running towards you guys, and you guys came running towards us. And at this point, right, Clara's mom like turns over to look at her daughter Clara, and Maddie's mom, and Maddie's mom like looks up and says, "Hey, like, sorry to cut this trip short, like nothing to really be worried about, but I think we should have someone go in here and remove whatever's in here as quickly as possible. Like, it's not a huge deal, don't freak out, but I think we're gonna have to cut this trip short." Fair enough, by the way. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment sand down below, because get it, they're at a beach, so sand is the keyword, whatever, right? Comment sand down below. I will try and heart as many of those comments as I possibly can, but no guarantees. I can only heart as many as possible, and just know I appreciate you watching. Either if you get a heart or if you don't, I still appreciate it. Anyways, right, so they get in the car, and they punch into their GPS, or I guess not their GPS at this point. They punch, because this story is kind of recent, they punch into their phone or Waze or something, and they try and find, the route to the nearest, like, either hospital or just, like, some kind of clinic that can deal with this. So they find one that's, like, 20 minutes away, and let me just say that, like, Maddie was saying, and, like, when she sent this, by the way, she submitted this at Instagram, and if you want to submit your own story, my Instagram is in the description. Feel free to just follow me there for the sake of following me there, but also that's the place where I, get the stories over Instagram DMs. Just send me bullet points of what happens, and I'll make the story alive for you guys. Anyways, right, so Maddie was telling me that this was the most kind of the scariest and most awkward and uncomfortable 20-minute car ride of her life. And even though it was 20 minutes, it felt like at least like an hour and a half. Because the whole time, right, like, especially for Clara, like, it was tough for Maddie. It was probably 100x harder for Clara, because imagine being Clara in this situation. You have some mysterious thing in your nose that is probably alive, and you can't do anything about it. And and like Maddie's mom and your mom is advising you, don't like pull it out, don't play with it, don't touch it, don't pick at it, don't do anything, right? So you have to sit there for at least 20 minutes with this thing just burrowed in the, oh God, I can't even, this story is crazy, bro. Anyways, right after the car ride, they eventually get to the clinic, hospital, whatever it was. Basically a place where doctors can treat people that come in real quick. And so Maddie and Clara and their parents, they run in and they go to the front desk. And, Clara's mom says, "Hey, like, my daughter has something lodged in her nose, and we need, like, people to get it out there, like, immediately, because we don't know what it is." The person's like, "All right, I can actually probably get someone to you in, like, 10 minutes or something," which there's a lot of cases / horror stories of, like, this stuff taking, like, 8-10 hours of waiting there. So they were pretty lucky that, it wasn't very much of a busy day, or maybe just the time period they came in, it just worked out perfectly for them, because within about, like, 10 minutes or so, a doctor came in. Clara went with the doctor, Clara's mom went with the doctor, and Maddie's mom decided just to wait outside because they didn't really want extra people in there. I mean, I guess they could have gone if they really made a fuss, but like they were like, you know what, that's fine, we'll just sit here. And so Maddie and Maddie's mom were just sitting on the bench, and it was kind of awkward. It was kind of like uncomfortable because they were kind of worried about what was in, Clara's nose. And they were also kind of curious. They wanted to know what this was. And, Maddie's mom's like, "So, how's it going, daughter?" I don't know if she exactly said that, but apparently, like, it was very awkward, and her mom was, like, awkward as well. But anyways, after a little bit of time, the doctor comes out, and they're like, "All right, well, Clara's doing better now. We figured out what it was, and we extracted it. And, yeah, you can come in and see her." So, obviously, Maddie and Maddie's mom, they rush in, and on the bed in this when you go to the doctors and there's, like, a place for you to sit, and, like, so Clara's sitting on that. Clara's mom is sitting in the chair, and they look to the side, and there's this, like, jar. Just a little warning, it gets a little gross. I'm not going to go into crazy graphic detail, but if this isn't for you, click on another one of my videos in the recommended right now if you don't want to hear this part. But essentially, right, what the doctor found was that there was, like, a pretty big leech that somehow made it up her nose when they were in, like, not the ocean, but in the lake. Because I know when I used to go to the lake, there would always be kids that would have, like, a leech on their foot or a leech somewhere, and you'd have to, like, salt it or something. But, dude, this leech somehow, like, when Clara was underwater, it somehow got lodged up her nose. So they had to, like, salt it and somehow pull it out. Like Clara, when you know Maddie's mom got in there, Clara was still like kind of crying because that was not a fun process, right? They didn't have time or didn't think to give her any like painkillers or anything like that. They just like had to get that thing out of there. But you know, when Maddie and Maddie's mom came in, the leech was in like a big jar on the side. And you know, Clara and Clara's mom was like, "Oh, guys, you know, today was an interesting day. I'm so sorry. I think we're going to have to cut the beach day short." And, you know, Maddie's mom was like, "Don't worry. We understand." Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like in the video and then click one of the 4 videos you see on screen right now or watch another video to support the channel. Thank you. Peace.